to scatter graphs and correlation. Before we start, just a reminder that there is a notes jotter available for this video. If you just check the description below, you'll see a download link. You can get the worksheet and you can work with me as we go through the video. Okay, so just a quick introduction to scatter graphs. First of all, scatter graphs are used for what is known as bivariate data. Basically, where we take two different variables about the same item. So we might be looking at the same person taking a maths test and a science test and recording both of their scores. It may be that we're talking about a day of the week and what the temperature was and how many ice creams we sold that day. It is taking two pieces of data about the same item. Now, generally, scatter graphs will come in three different forms. You'll see them here. First of all, where all of the points are quite close together, but they are all pointing upwards. So overall, they seem to be increasing as they go along. This is known as positive correlation. Now, what that means is a description as one variable increases, so does the other. So as one thing is increasing, so does the other. Now that could be one of our examples there of ice cream sales. If it is a warmer day, so the hotter the temperature, the higher the ice cream sales. The second one is where all of the points are very close together, but they are all pointing downwards instead. Now that is called negative correlation. Opposite of positive being negative, so the diagrams are the opposites of each other. And what that one suggests is as one variable increases, the other decreases. So that could be something such as if we were recording rainfall. The more rain there is, so higher rainfall, we might get lower ice cream sales. And so this could be on a very low rain day, lots of ice cream sold. On lots of rain, not many ice cream sold. And finally, you'll see a diagram where all of the points are quite scattered and all over the place on the diagram. Now that one is basically no correlation. Correlation is just a word for a relationship. There is no relationship here between the variables. And so there is nothing that links these together. So this may be something like your score in a maths test and your shoe size. There will be no link between them, and so they would just be scattered all over. So for our first example, we're actually going to plot our own scatter graph. Now for this, you'll notice this is bivariate data because we are taking the scores of 10 different students in both a maths test and a science test. So each column of this table is a different person. One person scored 12 in the maths test and 18 in the science test. One person scored 21 in the maths test and 25 in the science test. And all we're going to do is we're going to see how the two subjects are relating to each other. And so all we're going to do is use these as coordinates. We'll see here our x-axis is the maths test result and the y-axis is the science test result. And so for the first person, they scored 12 in the maths test and they scored 18 in the science test, and so we'll plot a little cross for them. Someone scored 44 on the maths test and 42 on the science test, so we'll plot their point. 38 and 38, so they actually scored exactly the same score on both tests. 48 on the maths test and 43 on the science test. 7 on the maths test, but 10 on the science test. 21 on the maths test, 25 on the science test. 36 on the maths test, 31 on the science test. 50 on the maths test, 47 on the science, 18 on the maths test and 13 on the science, and finally 27 on the maths test and 30 on the science test. should just be a little bit higher, but you get the picture. Now, from there, what might you be asked about that situation? Well, you might be asked what sort of correlation is shown by the diagram. They are all pointing upwards, and so that would be positive correlation. You may be asked to describe the relationship between the maths test and the science test. Well, using the second phrase that we used on the previous slide, well, that means as the maths test increases, so does the science test. Now, what that is suggesting is the better you are at maths, the better you're going to be at science. And those that haven't done so well at maths haven't done so well at science either. So that is the suggested relationship between them. We may also be asked to actually make some estimates. Now, if we're going to do estimates, we're going to need a line of best fit. Now, a line of best fit, I'm going to give you a little trick here. Okay, so my little trick is that if you want to find a line of best fit, what you want to do is you want to take your pen and just lie it down on your diagram. And as you do that, if you can manage to cover over the vast majority of the points, which we have done here, then you're in position to draw yourself a line of best fit. Your line of best fit should line up with your pen, and then all you need to do is move that line of best fit so that it's where your pen was, and you've got yourself a really good line of best fit. You'll notice that it goes through quite a few of the points. It's got roughly the same number of points either side of the line, and that is going to give me a good trend for this data. So in our next example, we're actually told that the scatter graph is showing us the age of some runners and their best time for the 100 meters. Now, if we were to do some very basic analysis here, that would suggest that given that the points are going downwards, that the older you are, the quicker you are at the 100 meters. That's the suggestion from this. But what we're asked to do is to use the graph to estimate the best time of a 12-year-old. Okay, so if we are ever asked to estimate, you cannot estimate accurately if you do not have a line of best fit. And so we want to use the same technique that I've just described. Grab your pen and pop it onto the diagram. Now here, you'll notice if I place my pen there, there are a lot of points still shown. So I'll move it around, and I'm still a few, so I might just need to turn my pen around a little bit, and there we go. If I've done that, I've covered the majority of my points. And so all I want to do, and for you, you'd be grabbing your ruler at this point, is just make myself a line which goes through where my pen is. It would push the pen out of the way in order to get a really good line of best fit. And again, it hasn't hit that many points, but we have got roughly the same number either side. And so that has formed a really good line of best fit. And we're going to use that line of best fit to actually make our estimates. And so it wants the estimate for a 12-year-old, which means that I'm going to take a reading from 12 years old and draw across to the time. Now, for me, that is around 14.4 seconds. Now, yours may well be different. As long as your line of best fit is suitable, so it is roughly where it should be, and you read from it correctly, you will get the marks in the exam. In the second part, it tells that a runner takes 15 seconds to run 100 meters. Let's use the graph to estimate their age. Well, in this case, we're going to use the time as the important factor. They are 15. The time was 15. So we're going to read along to our line of best fit and drop it down. And so that would suggest that someone who took 15 seconds would be 11.5 years old. Finally, a statement is made. A 15-year-old should run 100 meters in around 11.5 seconds. What do you think of this statement? Now, if we look at our line of best fit, and we did the same thing as we did before, we would be looking at the 15-year-old drawn up to the line of best fit and across. It's coming out at about 11.2 in fact. Sorry, 11.1 seconds. So actually, we might say that this is wrong because we think it's quicker. But in this case, that is not actually the point. The point is with how reliable our estimates are. In the previous two questions, we were finding estimates from within the data that we were originally given. The youngest person involved in this whole test is this person here at just under 10. The oldest person is this one at just under 14. That means that any values that we read between these two ages and, in the other sense, between these times, they would be absolutely fine. They would be perfectly reliable, and that is because they are known as interpolation. Inter meaning inside. If it's within the data set, it's interpolation, and that is reliable. It's something we can use. At the point of 15 years, that is a long way outside of the data. It's over a year away from the oldest person we actually have data about. And so that information would be known as extrapolation. And extrapolation means to take an estimate from outside of the data, and that is very unreliable. So if you ever take an estimate from outside of a data range, you cannot be very reliable with it. And that is a problem, because if we did take any estimates here, we don't know what has happened in between those points. So we can't tell if this trend that we're seeing would actually continue. Okay, so we end with the exam question, and this was on the Edexcel paper in June 2017, and it was on the Foundation and Higher paper 1. This is a crossover question. So we're told that the scatter graph shows the maximum temperature and the number of hours of sunshine in 14 British towns on one day. One of the points is an outlier. Write down the coordinates of this point. Now, that word there is one that we haven't dealt with yet. Outlier. Outlier basically means something which does not fit the rest of the trend. And so if we have a look at this data, this is all very, very closely grouped together in a nice straight line. And then we have this point here. So this one must be our outlier. It's the one that does not fit with everything else. And what we are asked for is the coordinate of this point. And so we just need to read that off. Well, that is going to be 10, 19. And so we're talking about 10 hours of sunshine and a maximum temperature of 19 degrees. For all of the other points, write down the type of correlation. Well, if we ignore this one point, we have a nice straight line pretty much here, and it is going upwards. So as the number of hours of sunshine increases, so does the maximum temperature. And therefore, the type of correlation is positive. At this stage, if you're going to get some more marks for this, now this question is actually just a 1 mark question, so positive is all that's been asked. If it was asking for 2 points, you might want to talk about strength of correlation here, and the fact that these points are really, really close together would actually call that strong positive correlation. If they were a little bit more spread out, but still heading in a positive direction, it would be weak positive. The next part of the question, on the same day in another British town, the maximum temperature was 16.4 degrees Celsius. Estimate the number of hours of sunshine in this town on this day. There again is that word estimate. If you want to get full marks, you must use a line of best fit to do that. And again, you could take your pen here and try to lie it over the top, but these ones, I'll just change my line. These ones are all already pretty clear as to where our line of best fit should go. It'll be there. And we want to estimate the number of hours of sunshine if the temperature was 16.4. So let's go to 16.4 on our graph. That's going to be two little squares up until it hits the line and then draw down. And so the hours of sunshine, well, I'm looking at about 12.8 for this one. But again, like I said with the previous diagram, as long as you are reading correctly from your line of best fit, you will get the marks here. There'll be an acceptable range provided. Finally, a weatherman says the temperatures are higher on days when there is more sunshine. Does the scatter graph support what the weatherman says? Give a reason for your answer. So temperatures are higher on days where there is more sunshine. Well, let's have a look at it. On the days where there is low sunshine, 9 to 10 hours, we are down at 11 to 12 degrees. When we get up to 13 hours, we're getting up to 16, 17 degrees. On the days where we had our highest number of sunshine, so 15 hours, we were up at 20 degrees. Does that relate to what they've said? Absolutely. And so, does the scatter graph support what the weatherman says? Yes. But a reason, the positive correlation is a good reason here. The fact that the more hours of sunshine, the maximum temperature. And so that's all we really need to talk about here. Yes, positive correlation. Or sunshine. Higher temperature.